Well, what's up there, ladies and gents? It is Dave with the Cream. In this video, we are going to be talking all about KPIs. If you don't know what a KPI is, it's just a fancy little abbreviation for key performance indicators. And here's the bottom line, everybody. If you're not measuring things in your business, then most likely you're making decisions based off of emotion and not based off factual data. And it's going to kill your business. So, we're going to be getting into the different types of KPIs and some of the things that we measure, and actually some things that you could implement pretty much immediately. And it's going to give you a good overview, help you with your decision making, and help you understand your business, help you understand, where should you be investing more when it comes to marketing? Where should maybe you eliminate completely? These are the decisions we need to make as business owners and real estate investors. And really the measuring stick and what allows us to make these decisions is these KPIs. Before we get into the KPIs, if you haven't already, join our free Facebook group. We're up to over 1,100 people now, and we're sharing resources, free contracts that we're using within our business. And you can find that at freecreamgroup.com. There will be a link below. And hope you all had a nice holiday season. Today is the day after, the Thanksgiving week just happened. I don't want to see me or any of us here in that holiday hangover mind frame, right? Let's get right back to it. And that's exactly what we're doing here today. So KPIs. There's two main categories for our KPIs. Number one is you're managing costs. You're managing money. You're measuring money. And the second one is you're measuring productivity. These are like the two main important things. So when it comes to money and the KPIs around costs and money, really what we're looking at is our cost per lead. So you're going to want to really identify your cost per lead for each of your marketing channels. So for instance, if you're doing direct mail and you're doing pay-per-click advertising and you're doing, cold calling, you're not going to lump all of these three marketing channels together and look at your overall cost per lead. That's going to be less effective if you just measured each one individually. So you want to know your cost per lead for each of your marketing channels, not your total blended together cost per lead. I don't know if that's really going to be that effective in decision making, because if you notice, as you're measuring the cost per lead individually with these different marketing channels, if you're noticing, hey, my cost per lead for cold calling is, let's just call it, $50 per lead, but my cost per lead in pay-per-click advertising is, $150 per lead. That's a major, discrepancy there. You're going to say, wow, okay, maybe I should be investing more into cold calling if I have a substantially lower cost per lead. But then you're going to want to look at the quality of these leads and where your deal's coming from. That is more so when we are measuring our productivity, which we'll get to in a minute. So number one, cost per lead, just make sure you are measuring each marketing channel individually and not blended together. And then with the cost per lead, measure your cost per contract. How much money is it taking to generate one signed contract? What does a contract cost you, right? And the way you're going to do this is look at your overall spend. It's the same way with your cost per lead. Look at your overall spend and simply divide your overall spend by how many leads you got. And then you're going to do the same exact thing with contracts. Look at your overall spend and then look at, how many contracts you got from that overall spend or from that overall investment into lead generation, right? So if you spent $1,000 and you got 10 contracts, you're paying essentially $100 per contract. And then you want to take it another level here and actually look at your cost per closed deal. Because I don't care how good your business is, not every single contract that you actually write is going to end up in a closed deal. There could be title issues. You could get a seller that flakes out. You might not be able to find a buyer. Maybe, after your inspection, you find out the property needs more work than you're willing to take out. There's 100 different reasons why this contract may fall out. And therefore, you want to look at your fallout rate, but you actually want to look at your closed deals. So going back to our example, you spent $1,000, you got 10 contracts, perfect. It's $100 per contract. But let's say out of those 10 contracts, only 5 of them turned into closed deals. Okay, well, you're looking at $200 per closed deal. Just a rudimentary example here, but we want to look at our cost, and we're going to do that by looking at our overall spend and then divide that for each marketing campaign by the number of leads that came in. And then we want to look at the number of contracts that came in with that overall spend. What was your cost per contract? And then out of the contracts, out of the closed deals from those contracts, what was your overall cost per closed deal? How many closed deals? And just divide that number into your overall spend. So that is just kind of doing the KPIs, a rough estimate, 10,000 foot overview of KPIs for our costs. Now let's get into productivity. So really what you want to look into here is your cold callers. This is where you want to really pay attention to productivity. And the way you're going to do that is you want to look at how many calls that they're making every single day and every single week. How many calls are they making? So if you have 3 cold callers, one of them is only making 100 calls a day. The other one is all the other ones are making 300 calls a day. That's going to show you. That's going to be a glaring fact that one person's just not pulling their weight. Their productivity is lower than the other people. You're definitely going to want to pay attention to how many calls your cold callers are making and measure them individually. Once again, next is what is their total talk time? So if you notice the one person who has the least amount of calls, but they still have a very high talk time, that just means they're having more quality conversations. So the number of calls they're making is not the end all be all. You want to look at also what is their overall talk time. Now, if somebody's just not making a lot of calls and they don't have a lot of talk time, that person's probably a red flag that they are not pulling their weight. But you want to look at their talk time and compare that as well with the number of calls. You want to pay attention to something that we do in-house is we like to pay attention to how many conversations is this person having over 6 minutes long. We just started doing that. We like to pay attention. It's just kind of a quality conversation. We just like to see how many calls that they're actually staying on the phone with this person, right? Is everybody just hanging up on this person? Or, maybe they have a high talk time, but maybe that came from one call. Maybe they were on the phone with one person for hours and hours and hours. Well, we want to see how many individual calls they're actually having over 6 minutes. How many quality conversations are they having? Next is another thing that we're going to get into later in the week, everybody. But, what we do is we have our cold callers assign transfers to our closers, essentially. We have a setter closer type of model that we teach, and we're going to break all that down for you. But we like to see how many are the cold callers actually transferring. But then also we look at our closers, how many assigned transfers are they getting assigned to them? And we really monitor that because we want to make sure that it's even Steven. We got 3 closers right now, and we're not into playing favorites. We want, everybody to have an equal opportunity to close deals. So when the cold callers are, effectively getting people who want to talk to one of our, account managers, acquisitions managers, which is just a closer, we want to evenly distribute these transfers. We want to look at total offers given. So an offer is not just a verbal offer like, hey, will you take 100,000 for the house? Every conversation should have some verbal back and forth. The way we're measuring actual offers is we want to take a look at, how many contracts did they actually send? Okay, we're looking at sent contracts. We're looking at that as an actual offer. And then finally, how many contracts are getting signed, right? We've got to pay attention to, if somebody's sending out, we got a guy right now, he's sending out tons of contracts, but very few of them are coming back with signatures on them. That's kind of an issue. He's playing a little bit loose. Maybe he's not closing well enough up front when he's on the phone, he's sending the contract a bit too quickly. The person's not fully sold. And that's what that tells us. It's kind of glaring if somebody's sending a ton of contracts, but they're just not coming back signed. So this is just an overview. We are diving deep into KPIs this week, everybody. I'm ready to make it a great week. Once again, please like the video, share the video, subscribe if you're interested in real estate investing. And the best thing you can do is join our free Facebook group. The link is down below, freecreamgroup.com. We will be here all week. Everybody, let's be successful, and we will see you on the next video.